This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Good Tavach. Let me share with you the approach of Rabbi Yosef Engel to Yetzias Mitzrayim and its relevance to us on a personal level. In the Haggadah of Pesach we say, and it's a Mishnah Psachim Kuf Tezayin Amad Beis, B'chol Dar Vadar, Chayiv Adam Lirois Es Atzmai Ki Ilu Hu Yatzami Mitzrayim. In every generation, a person is obligated to envision themselves as if they themselves were taken out of Mitzrayim, like the pasuk says, "V'oisanu hoitzi misham lo yasav esinum bavad, v'oisanu hoitzi misham leman havi oisanu lasas lanu es haaretz." But what does it mean that we're obligated to imagine ourselves as if we were in Mitzrayim? After all, we were never in Mitzrayim. And Rabbi Yosef Engel explains, based on the Maral and the Gevuras Hashem, that the concept of Mitzrayim is the concept of chomer. Chomer is physical substance, unformed, unfashioned, never reaching its purpose. That is why Rabbi Yosef Engel writes in the Oitzrois Yosef, Jewish Daled, Ois Memhei, Mitzrayim is compared to the chamor, besar chamoirim besaram. Or, the Medrash Rabbah in Bereshis Rabbah, Parsha Tzadivav, Ois Hei, says on the pasuk Al Nasik Bereni b'Mitzrayim, Yaakov says Mitzrayim is nimshalu lechamar. The chamar is the illustration and the mashal to chomer, physical, unformed, unfinished, unpolished substance. Klal Yisrael, on the other hand, are the tzura, the purpose of physical matter. And the enslavement to Mitzrayim is a representation of the hishtabdus and the slavery of tzura to chomer, of the final product to the physical unformed. Therefore, the concept of Hishtabdus Mitzrayim caused that the tzura of the Adam became enslaved to the chomer. What is the tzura of an Adam? The tzura of an Adam is his nefesh hamaskeles. The seichel, which is in the roish, became meshubad to the guf, the taiva of the guf. And the geula of Mitzrayim caused a personal geula, and that is the seichel of the Adam became freed. The seichel and the roish became freed from being meshubad to one's taiva. Therefore, Pesach is zman cheruseinu, because we know the Jewish calendar is a living calendar, and every year when Pesach comes, we relive the cherus. In what way do we relive the cherus? Every year there is a certain liberation that the seichel is liberated from the shackles of the guf. Now, why is it considered that the roish, the seichel, is enslaved to the guf? After all, isn't it one? Isn't it one entity? How could we conceptualize that the seichel is enslaved to the guf? Well, says Rabbi Yosef Engel, this is a complete shibud. And the explanation is, the taiva of a person is not internal to him being an Adam. It's not by the definition of him being an Adam. The taiva comes from a person being a Bal Chai, a living entity, because Balei Chayim have taiva. But the additional entity of Adam is the Nefesh Hamaskeles. And therefore the Seichel, which is really unconnected to the taiva, is subject and subservient to the taiva of the guf. So the Seichel is chutz. The Seichel is chutz from him being a Bal Chai, and the taiva is chutz me ha'adam. They are two different entities. Taiva emanating from being a Bal Chai, Seichel emanating from being an Adam. B'chol dar vadar chayiv Adam lirois says, atzmai. You have to view that your inherent self is being liberated, because the Seichel of an Adam, the tzura of an Adam, is the atzmius, is the person himself. And therefore, had the Rebbeinu Shalom not taken us out of Mitzrayim back then, we would be enslaved today in the sense, we may not be in Mitzrayim, but our seichel would be completely subservient to our guf and our taiva. This is what it means, v'yaisanu haitzi misham. That the yitzia within us, which is now the dominion and the power of the tzura, the seichel, the roish, over the chomer. And Rabbi Yosef Engel takes it just one step further. Because the pasuk continues, "Va'isanu haitzu misham, leman havi oisanu lasaslanu es haaretz." Hashem took us out to give us what? To give us Eretz Yisrael. What is the connection between the liberation of the seichel from the guf to taking possession over Eretz Yisrael. Well, says Rabbi Yosef Engel, the connection of Klal Yisrael to Eretz Yisrael is only mipa'as harosh, is only through the seichel of Klal Yisrael, the head of Klal Yisrael. Like the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, Daf Lamed Ches, where was Adam created from? Roshai me'eretz Yisrael, his head from Israel. Gufay mi Bavel, his body from Babylon, v'agvoisav mishar ratzos, and the lower body from other lands. The connection of Klal Yisrael to Eretz Yisrael is through the seichel. That's the connection, mitzad harosh. Therefore, when Hashem redeemed us from Mitzrayim, liberating the rosh from the guf, by doing so, we had a special connection, and we're roi to be connected and to inherit and possess Eretz Yisrael mitzad harosh. Says Rabbi Yosef Engel, this would explain the Gemara in Soita, Daf Lamed Ches, that the Gemara says about Yehoshua, Dein Reish Katia Yamalel. The Gemara refers to Yehoshua ben Nun as Reish Katia, a severed head. Why is Yehoshua called a severed head? Because that's a description of him in terms of him not having children to take chelek ba'aretz. Again, the connection to Eretz Yisrael is mitzad harosh. Therefore, Yehoshua ben Nun, who did not have inheritance in Eretz Yisrael, it was the appellation given is Reish Katia, the severed head. Unconnection, disconnect from Eretz Yisrael is sort of disconnect from the head. And finally, Rabbi Yosef Engel explains so beautifully. The Gemara says in Adarim, and Daf Peyam Aleph Amar Aleph Al Ma'av the Haaretz. Why was Eretz Yisrael destroyed? Al Ozvam as Tairasi, because they forsook the Torah, which the Gemara explains to mean Mivnei Shalai Barchu B'Torah B'Tchila. They did not make a Berchas HaTorah before they learned. Well, Rabbi Yosef Engel points out, based on the Sefer HaChinuch, we know Berchas HaTorah is the Iraisa before one learns. Berchas HaMazon is after one eats. Why is benching after one eats and Berchas HaTorah is before one learns? Well, says Rabbi Yosef Engel, Torah is also Mazain. Torah is also is Hana, but it's Mazain HaSeichel. When it comes to the Seichel is able to appreciate the Tayelas of something before one benefits from it. Therefore, we make Berchas HaTorah before, because it's a Hanas HaRosh, and the Rosh is able to discern even before the Hana of the impending Hana. When it comes to Achila, it's the Guf. The Guf has no Chachma to have Einav B'Roishay to appreciate what's happening. Only after the Hana, then the Guf is able to be grateful and thankful. That's why Berchas HaTorah Mitzad HaSeichel is before, and Berchas HaNehenen, which is Mitzad HaGuf, is after. Now, we've already said that when the Seichel in the Rosh is batel to the Guf, then a person has no connection to Eretz Yisrael. The connection to Eretz Yisrael is only Mitzad HaRosh and not Mitzad HaGuf. Like we said, the Rosh comes from Eretz Yisrael. Therefore, says Rabbi Yosef Engel, because we were not Barech B'Torah Metchila, because we did not make Berchas HaTorah, that shows that we allowed our Seichel to become dominated by the Guf, and we lost our connection to the Rosh. Mibnei Ma'av the Haaretz. Why did we lose Chelek in Eretz Yisrael? Mibnei Shaloi Barchu B'Torah B'Tchila. Eretz Yisrael, the land of the Rosh, the land of the Seichel, requires that the Seichel dominate the Guf. Because we didn't make Berchas HaTorah, that demonstrated we were being subjected to the shackles of the Guf, and therefore, because of that, Mibnei Ma'av the Haaretz, Mibnei Shaloi Barchu B'Torah B'Tchila. So it would come out then that the more we rule over our guf through the dominance of the seichel, the more we're able to experience Yetzias Mitzrayim, and the more connected we are with Eretz Yisrael and the coming of the redemption for Klal Yisrael. May we see it speedily in our days. A gut tevach, a gesund tevach.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.